I am live. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching from. How are you doing? This is Fina Chichi, and I just want to share some things that hurts teenagers' feelings, and actually some solutions that can actually help. And the reason I want to share these points that I'm going to share here is because a lot of times unaddressed hurts usually shows up in behaviors and choices that may not really be healthy for our teens. So I thought I should share it. I shared this post a few days ago on social media, and a lot of people were taken to it. So I thought definitely do a video about it and just share so that sometimes we can really understand. Sometimes our teenagers may react in funny ways, and we won't really understand why they're reacting in those funny ways. So I'm going to share with you a few things that parents unintentionally do, but that actually hurts teenagers, and actually probably even younger children as well. But I'm focusing on teenagers today. Okay, so here's what a teenager says. It hurts when I'm asked by my parents why I did or said something, but before I finish explaining why I did what I did, I'm interrupted by them. And they conclude that all I was trying to do was just to be disrespectful. And this happens a lot with many teenagers. Many teenagers say they can't explain why they did something because as they're explaining, they're usually interrupted with, no, but you were just being disrespectful. That's not true. And the teenager is thinking, how is that not true? I'm telling you the reason I did the stuff. You're telling me that it's not true, but you're not me. And so they sometimes want to argue that back with us. But the more they argue it back with us, the more we think they're being disrespectful. And most of the time, it's just that they're trying to explain why they did what they did. And so it's very, very vital that we listen. We really listen and not interrupt. And here's a reply. It would be nice for my parents not to jump to incorrect conclusions and hear me out first. I know that sometimes I may have responded disrespectfully to those false conclusions. I will need to work on that part. So this teenager is saying, yes, sometimes when my parents come and interrupt me, then I do respond quite rudely because I'm thinking, but who are they? I mean, I'm telling you why I did something. You're telling me that what I'm saying is not right. But how do you know that what I'm saying is not right when you're not in my mind? Do you know what I mean? So I can see where this teenager is coming from. And so the solution really for us as parents is if they did something or said something that was out of character and out of the behaviors or out of the boundaries, then let's hear them out for the reasons they did what they did or said what they said. A lot of times, teenagers actually have their reasons. And if we listen to their reasons very attentively, then we find ways where we can make the corrections. Then we find teaching moments where we can actually correct them. But if we don't get to hear their reasons, then where's the teaching moments? So it's just so important that we listen so that we can hear their reasons. And a lot of times, sometimes their reasons are like, okay, it makes sense. Sometimes their reason doesn't make sense. And it's in those times that we can have the conversations about, okay, next time it will be better if you did it this way. Next time it will be better if you did it that way, rather than interrupt them. Because the more we interrupt our teenagers when they're trying to explain their reasons, the more we interrupt them, then guess what they're going to do? They won't even bother anymore. So as soon as you ask them something, I don't know, not sure, they won't give you direct answers because they've had experiences, consistent experiences of being interrupted. So that's definitely one of the things that actually hurts teenagers. And this is what we can do to avoid the hurts. Okay, awesome. The next one, it hurts when I'm being yelled at to do stuff around the house. Is there any harm with being asked in a more polite way? And this teenager is saying, yes, I admit it. It may not be the first time that they've mentioned it to me, but I was busy then. It will work out better if I was given a time frame. And here's what I say to this. A lot of times with teenagers, especially growing teenagers, it's important to start to when you want them to do things for you, it's important to give them a time frame because teenagers are already busy doing what it is that they're doing. And yes, what they're doing may not be as important as the stuff that we want them to do, but that's their time. It's important for us to give them a time frame so that they can then manage their time. So let's say, for example, I want you to do the dishes at least by the time I get back from work, at least by 6 p.m. Then you've left that for your teenager to now decide when, between when I told my teenager and 6 p.m., when are they going to decide to actually do it? Now, if something is very urgent, where you're cooking and you're doing something and you want them to do something there and then it's about asking them, sorry, do you mind coming downstairs and helping me out on this? Do you mind just taking a break from what you're doing and coming to help me out? Those are kind of examples where it's an immediate ask, but at least you're asking politely. You're not just shouting at them to come and do what it is that we need to do. Again, these are things that they say hurts their feelings, and it's important as parents that we listen. We listen to those things that they're saying hurt their feelings and do something about it. Because as I shared in the previous slide, unaddressed hurts usually show up in behaviors and wrong choices. So it's important to hear them out. I would normally talk about work in advance. I would normally say, do you mind doing this before this time, or before that time, or before I'm ready to do some cooking, or before I'm this? I would usually give a time frame, because for me that works out well. They can then decide what it is they're doing. Can they finish that game? Can they stop, have a pause in their homework? Whatever it is that they're doing, they can then plan how to work with that, whatever they're doing, and with the work that we want them to do. Again, it helps build their time management skills. And for me, I'm always looking for ways in which their personal development can grow. And that's for me. So when I think about chores and things that I want them to do, I'm also thinking about the time management skills that I want them to learn, the problem solving skills that I want them to learn at the same time. It's not just about the domestic work. It's about the skills that they learn with it as well. Okay. All right. Awesome. Okay. And then let's go to the next one. Oh, I'm using the wrong slide, the wrong mouse. Okay. So it hurts when I'm being compared to my siblings. And this teenager says, there's no need to compare me to my siblings. Comparing us causes resentment between us, and we are all unique in our ways. And yes, I totally agree with this teenager. There's no need to compare. And I know that as parents, when we do compare, it's out of trying to motivate our children. We never compare to make them feel bad. We never compare to shame them. A lot of times when parents compare, they're trying to get their teenagers, motivate their teenagers to do something as the sibling is doing. So let's say, for example, your teenager's younger brother reads more. So you're saying, oh, why can't you be like your younger brother? He's always reading. Why can't you be like him? But a way to turn that around and make it more positive is, rather than saying, why can't you be like your younger brother? He's always reading. Why don't we just talk about reading? Let's then motivate them to reading. Don't call the sibling's name, because then you're dragging the sibling into some kind of resentment and some sibling rivalry with your teenager. So leave the sibling out of the equation and focus on the reading. Focus on what the benefits of the reading. Focus on what your teenager can achieve from being a reader. You want to focus on the activity. You want to focus on the choice. You want to focus on the behavior, not the person. So don't get your sibling involved, the sister or the brother or the cousin or the friend. It's proven over and over again that comparison does a lot of damage to our children in general. So parents, as we evolve in this parenting journey, let's avoid comparing our children, both children and teenagers. It never makes them feel good. It always makes them feel smaller. They end up not being on good terms with their siblings because of what we have said. So let's avoid comparing them to their siblings, but rather focus on what it is that you want them to do better. Focus on the books, focus on the tidy up, focus on the being serious more in their studies. Focus on that rather than comparing the siblings with each other, because that reduces as well sibling rivalry. Okay. All right. And this is the last one. It says, it hurts when I'm being dismissed over an issue that is huge to me, but seems like not a big deal to my parents. And yes, this does happen. And she's saying, the teenager is saying here, my issues are big to me for where I am now. Maybe in the future, it will look small in comparison. But here and now, these issues matter to me, and I would love to be heard. And you know what? When you hear a teenager say this, it's important that we grab the opportunity. It's important that we hear them out. Yes, we are paying bills. Yes, we're paying the mortgage. Yes, we're paying all the stuff, buying the groceries. There are lots of things that we're paying that seems really big in our eyes. A teenager may be looking for a socks, or a friend disappointed them. Things like that, that for us as adults, looking at it with our adult eyes, we might think, oh, that's a small issue. That's not even as big as paying a bill. But to your teenager, that's as big as paying a bill in their own mind. So rather than us be dismissive, it's important that we validate their feelings. It's important that we hear them out in the issue that is big for them in the moment. As this teenager said, yes, maybe down the line, years down the line, this issue that I'm talking about now will be no big deal. But for right now, for here and right now, it is a big, big deal. And I think as parents, we need to understand, and we need to what's it called? We need to understand, and we need to be compassionate about it. And let's not dismiss the issue. So that's what I thought I would share with us today. And we're live on Facebook and live on YouTube. So well done, everyone. Thank you so much. So let's look at these, and if these are areas that we find ourselves doing, then it's time to unlearn these things, because we don't want our teenagers to walk around hurt about the things that we are unintentionally doing. Now that we know better, it's important that we do better. Thank you so much for watching. God bless. Bye-bye.